Hey guys, we talked about having a new audio setup at the beginning of the episode. I just wanted to put a disclaimer out that it might not be all dialed in yet. So be patient with us, and hope you enjoy the show. Hi, I'm Christian.
And I'm Angela, and we are married
And bored. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Married and Bored podcast.
And it's a Marvel episode.
Marvelous
episode.
No, this is a podcast where we talk a lot about board games. Specifically, tonight, we're talking about Marvel Champions.
Or, whenever time of day you're listening to it.
Yeah, well, we're recording tonight. Tonight. The same night that they're listening to the show.
Okay.
It makes sense.
Last episode, Christian repeatedly referenced people seeing us.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think you don't understand podcasts.
I don't still. I'm under the assumption that my work webcam is just recording us, and it's like a TV show. I feel like Frasier Crane.
But it's live, that people only watch the night
yeah.
where we're doing it. Yeah.
Do we have any callers?
Let's take the first caller.
The first caller. All right, welcome. You're live. No, we appreciate you guys listening to us. Like Angela said, we are talking about Marvel Champions tonight. We started a few weeks ago a Marvel Champions Getting Started /101 series.
Yeah, I would say probably a few months ago at this point.
Yeah, so if you listen to that and you're like, hey, I want more. Well, here it is.
Yep.
This is more.
We did Marvel Champions 101, Aspects. We did Heroes, so what would come next?
Yep. First comes love, then comes... No, this is different.
This is different.
Okay.
This is first comes Heroes, then come Villains.
Yeah, we're talking about the bad boys today. So, but before we jump into those bad guys and just really beat them up bad, let's just do some catch up.
Yeah, let's catch up in pickles.
You said that before earlier today, and every time I have to laugh. So I'm not ready for it.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm hilarious. By the way, can I tell the people that we have changed our setup here?
Oh, yeah. That is probably something that we should mention in case people 2 minutes into this are like, they sound terrible. Or they're like,
wonderful.
Wow, they've really upped their game over there at Married and Bored. Those sponsorships really must be coming through Horde.
Coming through Horde. Yes. So instead of sitting on the same side of the desk, sharing a microphone, holding hands as we usually do.
Sure, yep.
Throughout the whole episode, we are now seated across a table from each other with two separate mics. So I have to look you in the eyes.
Aim no higher. That's right. Yeah, so we're trying out a new setup. So I'd appreciate feedback on it. Honestly, I am not a good computer audio guy. And that's why we shared one mic for the longest time.
Very long time.
Because you know what you have to do with one microphone? You just have to plug it in.
Yep.
And with two microphones, you just have to plug two in. And and then my computer said, I can only use one at a time.
Plug it in, plug it in.
Yep. So we're testing it out. And if it's good, it's good. And if it's not, let me know. And if you know how to fix it, let me know that too. That'd be awesome.
So this episode isn't about microphones.
No, but you know what is funny about our new setup? Is you have one of those cool like pop filters in front of your microphone. Mm-hmm. I can only... It's like you're wearing a mask. Like I can only see your eyes and forehead. So right now, I don't know if you're happy or sad. Now you look like focused.
It's part of it's called stealth mode.
Stealth podcasting.
It's part of my allure. And so
I only saw the top half of your face for the first year that we were together.
That's not true. You guys are so nice for hanging in there with us. If you haven't shut off the podcast at this point, let us get back to board gaming. What's new?
Yeah, so the last time that we talked, not just about Marvel Champions, but just about board games in general, it was Gen Con, which is Gen Con stands for giant conference. No, it doesn't.
That was blowing me away because when you said that, I thought, oh, I actually don't know if I know what it stands for. And then you said giant conference and my brain goes, that's not right.
No, I honestly don't know what it stands for, but everyone knows what it is. So the big board game conference, they actually held it in person this year, which was awesome. According to Instagram and social media, a lot of people went.
Yeah.
I think it's something that you and I would love to do sometime.
Absolutely.
It seems very intimidating to go.
Yeah. Just because we actually have to see people?
Well, no. I mean, maybe. But, like, I get overwhelmed when there's, like, if I go into a board game store and there's too many board games to look at. Like, if there's a balance of, like, oh, there's enough to look at. But if they literally have every board game ever, like I go in there and I say, I don't even remember why I'm here.
I don't know that's what I call Target eyes.
Oh yeah.
That's when you think you know what you have to get at Target and you're positive. You're an adult, you can do this. You go in and boom, you immediately forget everything you went in there for and you end up getting 10 things that you don't need. And not the one thing that you did need.
Yeah, you go in for dog food and you come out with pillows, a candle, apples, maybe a side table, and deodorant.
Yep. Oh, and then a new board game.
Yes. I'm looking at you, gargoyles.
But you don't get Q-tips, which you came in there for.
Right.
And so that's what happens to Christian, or would happen to him, if he went to Gen Con, which stands for Giant Conference.
I see a lot of people posting their Gen Con haul, like all the games they purchased there.
Oh, yes.
And some people, they go nuts.
They go to town.
And, like, I'm jealous of that because I think that would be super fun.
It's a better investment than, like, going to Vegas and just like, okay, well, we're going to spend $1,000.
That would give you, that's a good amount. I'm going to write that down so we have that in writing. So when we actually go.
Okay. It was a hypothetical.
No, but excuse me. Specifically for this show, we wanted to talk about Fantasy Flight's in-flight report that they do every year. They were not present at Gen Con, which for me, if I were there, that would be a big bummer.
Bummer.
They're one of my favorite studios. They're kind of why I got into board games based on the games that they made. So being able to, like, buy the newest game from them or leader games, like, both those guys weren't there. So, like, if we go, I want to make sure that the people who I like are there, and so I can buy, like, the latest and greatest, and even some from, like, the indie developers as well. Like, I don't want to forget about them,
right? But you just want everything.
I do want everything. I love new games. I'll play any game once, and most games not more than twice.
So try to figure out that math.
So there was a lot of cool announcements in the Fantasy Flight reports, specifically towards Marvel Champions. They talked about the Vision Hero Pack.
Yep.
That is coming, and then the new big box expansion, which is called Sinister Motives, which is a Spider-Man theme.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I don't hate it. I don't love it.
You don't hate it or love it?
No. It doesn't get me excited.
Yeah. It's kind of like my least favorite, or maybe it's just overdone at this point. It's like
maybe that's what I feel.
Spider-Man is everywhere. Like, I'm really excited for the new movie. Not gonna lie. I enjoy the movies, but I feel like, why couldn't they have just done, like, anything else?
Well, I can't think of an example of what they could. Well, X-Men.
They could have. Yeah, they should have, would have done X-Men.
Open up that Pandora's box.
I think they're waiting, and I think they will. Fingers crossed. But
right.
I would have been so much more excited for X-Men. Now, I will say, based on the box, it comes with Miles Morales Spider-Man, and then Ghost Spider-Gwen, whatever you want to call her. I think I'm more excited for these bad guys.
Yeah, the bad guys are exciting.
Because you can fight the Sinister Six. It looks like Kraven is on there.
Sandman?
Venom, Sandman, Doc Ock. And then it says this. So this is what I was going to ask you, Angela. It says the hero packs that are coming afterwards feature a couple more, quote, web warriors.
Okay.
And then some surprises. So who do you think... Just based on the theme, they kind of keep them in themes, right? Like,
yeah,
we'll talk about Thanos in a minute, and they kind of had like Thanos-y themed or adjacent characters leading up to it.
Okay.
So if they release Sinister Motives, who are some characters that you think will have their own hero pack?
Gosh, that's tough. I don't feel... I don't know. I hope they don't go down the whole Spider multiverse, like of Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Man 29...
Spider-Ham.
Spider-Ham.
That's a lot of Spider-Man, and I don't think I would be as excited about that either.
Well, yeah, there's just so many, and I don't know how they could do it justice.
It's like, oh, look, everyone has a Spider Sense card.
Yeah.
Draw a card before you get attacked.
Yes. So I don't think that's it, and I hope it's not it. I don't know. That's a good question.
I was trying to think of some like Spider-Man friends. Like, who does he kind of like team up with, or who else lives in New York that's also a superhero?
Right.
I mean, 99% of superheroes I think live in New York because that's where all the bad stuff happens in comic books.
Right.
I could see a Daredevil pack.
Oh.
He's very close to that world.
Yeah.
I could also see maybe Kingpin being like a secret bad guy in here.
Yep.
Which makes sense for Daredevil. Maybe the Punisher.
Okay.
Some more like street level heroes. Like, I'm not saying Jessica Jones, but like the Defender type people, like Luke Cage and that crew.
Okay.
That's my thought. I don't know.
Those are good thoughts.
And I don't know any more Web Warriors except what you mentioned.
Right.
Which they could do, and if they do it great, I'm not gonna buy it. Because
I think we're in on it. We're gonna buy it.
I need the cards.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about it?
No, I think we covered it all. I feel like we're gonna get it, but I'm way more excited for the Thanos big box.
And I think of the two announcements, and here's another thing that I didn't like. They made no like new announcement. Everything they announced, the internet already knew about.
Yeah.
Because there was a spoiler last fall that had Vision in the release calendar and Sinister Motives in the release calendar. And so everyone knew it was coming.
Right.
And
now, was it confirmed? But this is like confirmed.
But everything on that list came true.
Yes.
So we were waiting. We're like, oh man, it looks like they're doing Guardians next. And then, well, Guardians, we got it.
Yeah, it was a little underwhelming.
Yeah. I'm more excited for Vision than I am for this whole Spider-Man box. After watching WandaVision, Vision is the worst Avenger.
Okay.
But after watching that show, I'm more accepting of him.
Interested to see what his cards are for sure. Yes, I know. I'm like I said, way more excited for Thanos, and some people already have it.
Yeah,
which I am super jealous about.
Yeah, that is one that they keep pushing back.
Yeah,
which should have been here last month.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they just keep on pushing it back, and I don't know if that's just the shipping crisis that everyone has to deal with, but the funny thing is that we got Nebula.
Yep.
Already.
Yeah, we have. I think since our last Marvel Champions episode, we should say we have Drax, we have Venom, and now we have Nebula. But we've seen people's pictures of the Thanos box.
I wonder if it's like a UK, EU thing.
Maybe.
They seem to be on top of it a little bit better than we are over here. But yeah, I really want that. If I don't like spoilers, or I like spoilers, but I'm not going to like dive deep into like the spoilers and like min-max these cards. So I'm really looking forward to seeing like what's in it.
Yeah.
Like I know it's Thanos. And I know it's probably out. I can probably go look it up exactly what it is. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to.
No.
I just want to open it and go, oh,
and
man.
see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
For sure. it's funny that we're excited for this because we still have not beat Galaxy's Most Wanted.
You mean the campaign or just every villain inside?
Well, both.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I had this idea that I was going to be able to beat every villain before we would do this podcast, or every villain that's currently out.
Yeah, because the villains in that box are the last ones we have not defeated.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to do it, and then we'll do the podcast. And it just kept not happening. Because I'm not playing.
No, you tried.
I'm playing a lot, and there's some formidable enemies, for me at least. I know there's always people out there that seem to have decks that never lose, and I play their decks that say they never lose.
And lose.
And I lose. So I don't know if that's calling my skill level out a little bit, but
no, it's fine. It's hard. I think people will agree with that. I think people agree that it is so much harder than the Red Skull one, and of course any of the other packs. Except I think Kang is pretty hard.
Kang's hard. Yep.
But yeah, let's take a quick break. We'll jump into like what we want to talk about with the villains of Marvel Champions. All right, so villains are, well, the bad guys.
And girls.
Of who you fight in this game. So we just wanted to kind of go through the same format that we did for our heroes and just kind of break it down into like some beginner villains to fight, next steps, favorites. You get the idea. Villains, if you're brand new to this game, they can be acquired in, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm counting 3 ways. You can get it in the core box.
Okay.
You get 3.
Yep.
The campaign boxes that we talked about at the top of the show. You get anywhere from 4 to 5, maybe more villains.
Yep.
And then you can get the villain packs.
Yes.
Which I don't think there's any more
ways to acquire villains.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. So that's how you can expand the amount of villains you have. If you just have one core box and you're like, I don't want to buy these campaign things. Well, you can just buy one villain at a time to expand what you have.
Yes.
Cool. Why don't we jump into some beginner villains?
Okay.
Or what we think are beginner villains, or maybe like who are the beginner villains to us?
Yes.
I think that's the same thing twice.
Okay, so I think the most obvious one is the one that Fantasy Flight actually set up for you to be your first villain, which is Rhino.
Yeah.
He is just big and dumb. He's straight up punches. He has no hidden tricks. He has no special things you need to keep track of.
Yeah, there's no gimmicks with him. He's
no
just going to hit you and hit you hard.
Yep. He's just a straight up heavy hitter.
And that's all you have to do to him.
Yep. And that's all you have to do is just hit him. So, you do have to thwart so the threat doesn't add up. But he has no hidden agenda. He is what he is. And you just have to hit him. And I think that's a great one to start with, especially as you're learning your hero, whatever hero you're playing. You can even take him as you feel more comfortable with Rhino. You can swap out modular sets. And those are included. There's some included in the core box. And
yeah, it comes in basically every villain pack you can get.
Yep. So you can swap those out. You can make Rhino harder. Like you can make him a heavier hitter, but he's not going to be gimmicky. He's got no tricks up his sleeve. And I think another one maybe to put on that list is Crossbones.
Where can they get Crossbones if they don't have Crossbones?
Yeah, so Crossbones wouldn't be found in a separate villain pack. You would have to buy the Rise of Red Skull campaign, I believe.
And he's the first one of that campaign.
Uh-huh.
Very similar to Rhino.
Yep, he's another heavy hitter.
With a few extra mechanics.
Right.
Thrown in.
Mm-hmm. But I'd say he's pretty much a beginner level. Not when we say beginner, we don't mean easy to defeat. Or at least that's not what I mean. I mean, well, they might be easy to defeat for you, but what I say is more along the lines of, this is a good villain to go up against as you're learning the game.
Yeah. One thing about Rhino that I like is I think he only has one main scheme, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no different phases for him. So there's only you only have to worry about one scheme, so that you just have to watch that so it doesn't thread out.
Yep.
So that's very easy to manage. Now, if you get those side schemes out there, that changes the scenario a bit.
Yes.
But there's not a lot, like we said, to worry about. Crossbones has a couple phases where he gets stronger the longer he's out, because he can get weapons and he can hit you for a lot.
Yes.
So you have to watch out for those. But they're very similar in how they play.
Yeah, the style of their play.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying Crossbones is easy. I'm just saying it's a good beginner villain. And I think you'll see as we go deeper into this dive of the villain talk what we mean by a beginner villain versus a next step villain. I usually think about it in terms of how much it hurts my brain to run the game.
Yeah.
So beginner villains would be easier on my brain.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's funny because I've played this game with you 98% of the time. 1% I've played solo. And then the other 1% is I played with a buddy maybe 4 times. Mm-hmm. And I find myself not remembering how to run the game because you do that.
Right.
And you enjoy doing that.
I enjoy doing it. I think I do it well.
Yeah.
People are so gracious out there. I think in our first Marvel Champions 101 episode, we mentioned, I think it was 2 things, and people were so kind to us, wrote in and said like, hey, it's actually this.
We got some rules wrong.
But one of them said, which I so appreciated, was like, it's so hard to remember all the rules of this game. And especially as you get heroes that have tricks up their sleeve.
Yeah.
And then a villain has a trick up their sleeve. And you're trying to keep everything straight in your head, plus just the base rules of the game.
Or if you're like me and love playing new games, like
the
odds are that Angela and I 2 nights ago learned a brand new game.
Yeah.
And so I have that stuck in my head. And so now I've got to transition back to Marvel Champions. And then guess what? 2 nights later, Amazon came. I got another new game. And we're going to have to learn that.
Or you went to Target for Q-tips.
Gargoyles.
And you did not get the thing you came for.
I just want to ask a quick question about these 2, what we call beginner villains.
Yes.
What do you think is the hardest part about each of them? Even though they're beginner, they do have some things that make them sort of tough. I'll say Crossbones and his weapons.
Yes.
If you're playing against Crossbones and you don't deal with those weapons and those upgrades that he can get, like the shield and like the knife and all those extra things.
Well, if you're not ready for his machine gun when he flips to Crossbones 2, I believe.
You're going to die.
Yes. You need to have a way to recover.
Yeah.
Or a teammate to rely on while you recover.
Mitigate damage.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I guess for Rhino, his would be, he has encounter cards that can add one-time and permanent attack values.
Yeah, he's pretty bursty. So he's just like, he'll hit you for 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 7, 2, 2, 2.
Yeah. So you have to be prepared to like, you think, he's been hitting for 3-ish, and then I'll just take it. Well, he could just bust out with a big hit.
Let me ask you another wild card question here. For someone who's playing this game and wants to like play these 2 villains, what do you think is a good hero to play against these villains? I think one thing that we learned, this might be a side note, is when we first got this game, we were like, well, what hero do you want to play? And then we'd pick a villain that as we went through that villain, we realized these heroes are not good against this specific villain. So if a tip, Mirrodin board tip, it's not really ours, but choose your villain first and then play a hero that you might know is good against that villain.
Yes. Or I guess if you wanted to choose your heroes, then just eliminate some villains from the pool of ones you choose from.
Either way works.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. I haven't, for reasons we'll probably get into later, I haven't played Rhino in so long.
Okay.
Crossbones more recently, but even that has been months and months. Just with all the new Guardian stuff coming out, True. It's been so long. I think it'd be... the thing I like about Rhino specifically is that he doesn't come out super strong. So maybe you would have time to set up Tony Stark.
Oh, yeah. That'd be fun.
And I don't know if I've actually ever played that matchup, but...
Yeah. We probably did when we first got it, and we had no idea what we were doing.
No, we didn't know how to play Tony. Yeah.
Spider-Man comes to mind in that he can web up either of these to cause them not to activate, you know?
And he's got
that
swinging
web kick. Swinging web kick that like hits for 8.
Yep.
And if you're playing solo, that's half his life.
Totally.
And so even if you're playing 2-player, that's a huge chunk.
Yes.
So that one comes to mind for me.
Totally.
Yeah. So there's our 2 beginner ones. Is there any next steps? Like some that are like...
Okay, so here
not crazy difficult, but like one step beyond these 2.
Yeah, I'm picturing like... Okay, I've played Rhino. Maybe I've even played Crossbones, and maybe I played them on Expert even, or maybe I threw in different modular sets to make my brain more interested in playing the same villain over and over. And then I'm ready. I kind of get the flow of the game. I'm really solid about the natural flow of the game. I have a hero or heroes that I feel really confident in. And I'm ready for the next type of villain. I guess the first one that comes to my mind is the Wrecking Crew. And then, what do you think? What do you think about that?
Yeah, Wrecking Crew is tough because that's one of those that I don't really know how to do because you always play them. You know what I mean? Like you run it, and I'm just like, well, I'll fight this guy.
Yeah. So the thing about the Wrecking Crew is, I like that in a way it kind of strips it back because you remove the standard.
Yeah, there's no modular sets.
Yeah, there's no modular sets. So in a way it's like it gets a little simpler in that regard. However, you're playing a crew. You're playing 4 villains at once. And the why I would put it in next steps is because there is some strategy about keeping the threat level, balancing the threat levels between these villains in your favor.
Yeah.
So you get to choose effectively, or the game chooses for you if you decide to ignore what you're doing. But as you get more strategic about the game, you can choose which villain is going to activate. And it's either going to be the villain that has the most threat, or some encounter cards cause it to be the villain that has the least threat. But either way, no matter what's revealed, it's all in your power. You can control who has the most threat and who has the least threat, and then the middle 2 will not activate that round.
Right, so you can deal with those on your terms.
Yes, and you can change up who that is the next time, and balance out the decks, or choose one villain that never activates because your hero is not set up to take that kind of villain. So it adds like another layer of strategy. Yeah. That's why I would call it a next steps.
I just remembered one funny mix-up that we had, or you had, with Wrecking Crew, is you and I played it together so many times that we were just kind of like on automatic like setup. And then you decided to play it solo one day, and you were like, this is impossible. There's no way we can I can beat this solo. And then What did you realize?
I think this is actually in our like saved stories on our Instagram.
Yeah, nice.
Because I was just like, such a facepalm. Like I had set all the villains to the hit points for a 2-player game instead of a 1-player
and I
game.
think you got close to almost beating it that way.
I did
a couple
one time.
Times. You beat it that way?
No, I got close.
But like, and then you're just like, oh wait, these health pools are half. What? Like, oh my goodness.
They should have been half, but I was playing them double.
Yeah, so if you're playing solo, just remember to double check your health pool.
Or if you usually play solo and then you suddenly meet up with a friend, just remember to check that you've doubled those health points. Yeah. Do you have another next steps one?
I think so. I think I remember Absorbing Man from the Red Skull campaign, who was after Crossbones, actually, like right after him.
Yep.
I would equate him very similarly to Rhino. Like all he kind of does is he just hits you, and they all do that, but he just hits you for varying amounts depending on what element he is.
Yeah, so that's the only...
There's not much to him. And I think the first time we played him, we may have had like a power team of like Ant-Man and Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And we just crushed him.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I guess the reason I would put him in Next Steps, which I agree with, that you said he's a Next Step villain, is because that environment, that's like one more thing to keep track of.
Sure.
Is that the environment gives him powers. He's also got delay counters that basically count how many rounds it takes you to
destroy him. Yeah, so he's kind of like a speed check. Like the faster you can kill him, the more better. The more better you'll do in the campaign later on.
Yeah, but that's a good Next Steps one. Any more coming to mind?
I think for direct next steps, none really come to mind. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about like what we would say are the hardest ones or the ones we have most difficult with.
Sure. Well, okay. I thought of something to like kind of segue that.
Sure, go.
Then if you buy the core set, you have Rhino, you have Claw, you have Ultron. I personally think that the jump from Rhino to Claw is incredibly big.
It's very steep.
So if you're thinking like, oh, I have the core box, why aren't they mentioning Claw as like the next step? Because Fantasy Flight made it the next step. I don't have any beef with Fantasy Flight making Claw the next villain. I just wouldn't categorize him as a next steps villain. I would say that is one that took us a very long time to defeat.
For me, he is one of the hardest ones, just because he is so fast.
Yeah.
He will just do everything quickly. He'll run out of his deck. He'll kill you. He'll threat. He does it all, and it's very annoying. And if you don't pay attention, before you know it, you're like, whoa, we're dead.
Well, what's hard about him, in addition to all that, is that he is one of like 2 or 3 villains I can think of out of the whole list of whatever it is, 15 so far or something, that comes set up, like fully set up, ready to go his first turn. And
like he doesn't need any ramp up. He's just boom,
there's no ramp up with Claw. And that's really hard because no hero comes fully set up.
Yeah, so you're sitting ducks for the first couple villain phases, and you hope that you don't die.
Right, because I think my natural tendency is to panic in that situation as a hero, and not set up my hero properly, because I'm like, well, man, I can't pay for Gamora's sword right now. I got to hit this guy.
Yeah, I got to threat. I got to do something.
But then that's going to, normally I would pay for her sword, or I would pay for Thor's helmet, or I would get my character set up. But he gives me this panic.
No time. He's like, I'm here. Sonic boom. You're dead.
Yeah. So I don't know that I would necessarily list him as a Next Steps villain, even though he's the second one in the core set. And you would think, oh, this is my next step. Yeah. Well, if you only have the core set, it is. And good luck.
For me personally, he's one of the hardest ones.
Yeah.
Like, I know there are ones who are, quote, on paper, harder than him.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played him yet. I think I'm scared to because I don't like losing over and over and over and over in games.
Yeah.
But for some reason, Claw is just one that I'm like, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you, Claw.
Oh, look at that. Man, another one that's like really hard for me is I was gonna say the one I'm currently fighting, which is the Collector Escape from the Museum.
Yeah. Why don't we save that one for the end and just talk about the campaign as a whole?
Yeah.
That one. Mm-hmm. Is there any, like, Claw is very popular right now. If you're like, these villain packs are very neat, or they, I'm wondering which one to get. Claw is very cool.
But he's not a villain pack.
Claw. Oh, sorry, not Claw. I'm looking at these notes. Claw. Kang. The other one. The other 4-letter K word.
Yeah. Kang is formidable.
Kang is hard, but he does some really neat things.
Really neat.
So we won't go into it all here, but if you're looking for like a challenge, and for something that no other villain does in the game, Kang is super cool. And I don't know if it's a spoiler. I don't think it is. Like, Kang is like a time warrior. Like, if you watched Loki, spoilers, Kang's in it. And so he travels through time, and one of the phases is your heroes get sucked into a new dimension of time. Mm-hmm. And you have to separate and play your own little game.
Yes.
I was Black Widow, and you were, I don't know who.
I think I've been a couple. I think I've been Doctor Strange. I've been Iron Man.
Yeah, and I was Black Widow during this phase, and I could not hit my character enough to get me out of this phase to go, and so I was stuck, like, just cycling for the long. I was like, all I can do is threat or scheme. What is it? Thwart. There we go.
Thwart.
All I could do is do that to try to stay alive, and it took a long time. I remember we're just like, oh my gosh, we're still in the second phase.
Well, the nice thing about that is that as long as you don't die, it's going to do is add another side scheme to the third Kang.
Sure.
As you progress in the scenario. But Kang is a really interesting villain.
Yeah. And then why don't we just touch on the other villain pack that you can get if you're looking for just like a cheaper way to get more villains, and that would be Green Goblin. Mm-hmm. He's unique. He comes with 2 versions of Green Goblin. One is what is considered one of the easiest scenarios in the whole game.
Yep.
And that one is Risky Business. You can read up on that one. If you play it right, you have all the time in the world to set up your hero and then smash the Green Goblin when the time comes. Mm-hmm. But then on the other hand, there's one called Mutagen Formula, which is...
I don't know. Do you have those mixed up?
No.
Risky Business is the one with Norman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Mutagen Formula is the one that is considered one of the hardest. Because there's just so many goblins, minions that keep coming, and bombs and stuff. It's just hard to mitigate all the damage that's thrown at you.
Yes. I see what you're saying. Yeah, because if you can, in Risky Business, if you play it right, it's super simple to defeat.
Yeah. But yeah, I think if I had to rank the villain packs that are out there, which right now there are only 3. There's not. Mm-hmm. There's one coming. We'll talk about that later too. I would say my favorite... I don't know if I have a favorite. The one that's most interesting to me is that Risky Business Green Goblin one.
Okay.
And then I'd say Kang. And then I'd say Wrecking Crew.
Okay.
Would be my order of operations.
Okay.
What about for you?
I'd put Kang before Green Goblin, but I would put Wrecking Crew last. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Is there anything else that you want to touch on villains in general, as a whole?
Well, yeah, I think we should run down the list like we did with the heroes of our current faves.
Okay.
And then what do we do? Our current least favorites.
Current least.
What we're hoping to figure out, like if there's a villain we're hoping to crack the code of, which you kind of said maybe Claw, but
yeah.
And then we can talk about some things to come with villains.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's do that. So let's just jump right in. Ange, what's your favorite villain?
My current favorite is probably Kang.
Is it?
I just love what he does. It's so interesting.
The mechanics.
Yes.
Yeah.
And no other villain goes on like I think we'll reference it later, but there's a website that refers to, I think there's probably many out there that refer to this idea of tempo in this game. So some villains you can fight with a slow tempo, and some villains you have to force you to have like a quick tempo. And
be aggressive.
Yeah. And Kang is the only one that I would argue is the only one that has kind of a tempo roller coaster.
Ooh.
So you like...
You love roller coasters.
I hate roller coasters. Yeah, so you get to go... It's like you have to be... It's a fast tempo, and then that middle section that you were referring to, that's slower, and then you ramp up again. Yeah, it's neat. I like that.
That's cool. Thanks for asking, Ange. But mine is...
Christian, what is your current favorite?
You know what? This is going to sound really stupid, but my favorite, I think, since day one has been Rhino.
It's not stupid.
Only because he's the one where whenever I get a new hero, I'm like, well, I just want to play him against Rhino. I want to see what he can do. Like, I don't want to have to, like we mentioned, I don't have to worry about this other stuff.
I don't want to have to think.
I just want him to hit me, and I want to see if I can block it, and I want to see how much I can thwart for, and I want to see how much I can hit for.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like that's the one I played him the most, and I look forward to playing him whenever a new hero comes along.
Yeah.
Even if it's like a campaign hero, like coming up if like Spectrum in this new Thanos, like I just want to play her against Rhino. I don't want to play her against whatever the new one is.
Yeah.
I just want to play against what I know and then see what I can do.
Yeah, so he helps you figure out your hero.
Yeah, otherwise if I lose, like most of the time I could win against him too.
Yeah.
And if I were to lose out of the gate a bunch of times with the hero, I would probably say like, well, he's not good. She's not good. This is like Vision sucks.
Right.
But I'm going up against, the Badoon whatever, which murders you right out of the box, right? Like
Drang.
So yeah, mine's Rhino.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Surprise.
Charge. Okay. Mm-hmm. How about current least favorite?
Well, I think mine, we talked about it already. It's Claw. He's just one that like just kills us all the time. Mm-hmm. And it is always one that when we're playing, we're like, if we only had one more turn, if we only, like we know 2 more turns, and then Claw's like, nope, dead. Like,
dead. Yep.
We're so close multiple I think we have beaten him less than 5 times.
Yeah, that's probably accurate.
Probably less than 3, like 3 or less, if I had to guess.
Yeah. Hey, in our defense, though, we're not playing him all the time.
No.
Yeah.
But like when we want to play, and it's like I usually say, well, let's play Rhino, and you're like, well, he's easy, so I don't want to. So we're like, okay, we'll do Claw.
Yeah.
And then we just die.
Right. That's further evidence that Claw is not the next step up from Rhino.
Yeah, that's true. We should learn what we've learned.
Yes.
Take what we've learned and be like, maybe we should play Absorbing Man.
Yeah.
How about I don't have anything more to say about Claw except he sucks.
All right.
How about you?
I don't like the Wrecking Crew.
You don't?
I don't. It's not that I think they're too hard or too easy. I just think it's a scenario that doesn't excite me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I also don't like running it. And so maybe that's why.
Yeah.
I just don't like having the 4 decks and the 4 villains and the 4... Well, there's a main scheme, but then there's 4 side schemes that can never go away. And it's just like...
It's like, come on, man.
I'm over it.
Yeah. I think when it first came out, it was so unique based on what was already out there. And so it was, for a time, pretty cool.
Yes.
I think it's kind of worn off a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. I can see that. I don't look to play them usually ever. Unless it's just like, well, let's look for something unique. Don't want to fight Kang.
Right.
Don't want risky business. Like, let's try Wrecking Crew. Let's just... It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while.
Bust it.
Yep.
Okay. Who are you hoping to figure out? Which villain?
Well, I think this is where I wanted to talk about just like Guardians as a whole.
Yeah.
Like for both of us, because we haven't beat it yet.
The whole campaign. Yeah. Correct.
You and I have played the first 2 villains together.
Yes.
I don't even remember who I was. I think I was Drax, maybe.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Or maybe even Ant-Man. He was my favorite for a long time.
Yeah.
Probably still is, but like we just didn't get far because as most everyone realizes, as soon as you open that box, a villain literally comes out of that box and punches you. Like before you even set up the box. It's hard.
It's very hard.
It comes out of the gate hot. And
real hot.
It goes after you fast.
Drang is no crossbones. Those are the 2 that first pop out of you at you in the 2 campaigns.
Yeah.
And Drang is, I mean, he's easier than some other ones in the campaign, but he is not easy.
I hear Nebula is a pain in the butt to fight. I've never fought her, and then
because you're trying to escape from the museum.
Yeah, the collector is tough. Like, come on, man. And then Ronan, I hear, is just insane. Yeah. So, what internet? Give us some tips.
Well,
what can we do? What are some awesome pairings that Angela and I could do that are? We don't like to min-max, right? We like to also have fun. So, like, if there was like a Rocket and Groot, I'm sure you can do anybody, like some fun pairs, Rocket and Groot, Wasp and Ant-Man, like that's when we have fun playing this game. So what do we need to do to get there and to beat it?
Well, I might have a tip at the end that I've saved.
Okay, great.
We'll see. I haven't tried it out, but I have a tip.
You want to talk any about your solo experience?
Yeah. It's been wonderful.
Okay. Next.
No,
but tell us like who you've been playing, how far you've gotten, and like where you're kind of stalled out.
Okay, I started with Gamora as my first hero in. I know I might try the campaign solo again, but Gamora is my first go at it.
Okay.
I saw you play her a few times when we were playing a 2-player game, and I just felt like I wanted to see what her experience was like because I liked what I was seeing.
She's very strong.
So
she's the most dangerous woman in the galaxy. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
After you, of course.
After me,
without coffee.
Without coffee. So defeated Drang, defeated the first collector, which is Infiltrate, I think.
Yeah, you have to get in to the place.
That's no walk in the park either because you have to keep his collection down, and he steals cards from you that add to his collection. And with his solo experience, it's maxed out at 5. If he steals 5 cards from you, you're done. And he steals cards from you. There's encounter cards that do it, but anytime something would go in the discard, it goes into his collection.
Yeah, that's like 12% of your deck. Right. And then it's done.
Right. So, or I should say, anytime something would leave play normally and go into your discard, whether it's your deck or his. So, I defeated a minion. Nope. That's going in the collection. I have a ally out here to take his hit. Nope. That's going in the collection. So you have to kind of rethink, or I had to rethink how I play. Because normally a minion comes out, I want to clear that minion quickly. But I had to rethink, like, okay, maybe I don't want to clear this minion quickly. And same with my allies. There's a few allies that I have in the Gamora deck, like Spider-Girl and Ironheart, that for me, I use for their one-time ability, and then I just let them, what do you call it, chump block? Like,
cheap.
Just take the hit for me and die. Like, I'm not playing them to keep around in my play area.
Those ones, that's what most people do with those two cards.
But that's hard because in that scenario, that is adding to my collection.
Is it kind of like a chase? Like, the more stuff that you actually destroy and defeat, it hurts you because it slows you down. But like the more stuff you leave behind, in a way that it's like you're running away from it. Like, it's still there,
right?
But you're running away. Like, it feels like you're truly escaping.
Right.
You think that's the theme that they're kind of going for?
I don't know. It's really good. I mean, it's good. It's a cool idea. I like, I love about the campaigns in general, but especially about Guardians, is that I feel like I'm playing a movie.
Oh, yeah. I didn't feel that one in the Red Skull one very much.
Yeah, I feel that more than just playing them separately.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel it with Guardians.
Okay.
Which is why I'm so looking forward to Thanos.
Hopefully it lives up to the
But anyway,
Thanos hype.
So now I'm stuck on the collector, but it's the second one. Now you're escaping the museum. He no longer collects from you, but he has infinite health. So you cannot.
So you're still playing the game today, and because he does not die.
He does not die. You have to thwart your way out of his dominion.
Menagerie.
Yes, his menagerie.
That's cool. I have not played that one. I did the first one, I think. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to it. So again, like, we'd love some tips on how you guys have had success with Guardians and Galaxy's Most Wanted. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah.
For us to jump back into it, and especially I think we should make a goal is to try to beat this box before Thanos comes.
Yeah, that's a good goal.
Yeah, because I think if it does, if we don't, we'll be just like, oh, we're just gonna fight the Thanos guys.
Yeah. Yes. Well, do you want to take a break and let's come back with some final thoughts about villains in general and maybe like what's coming next? This episode is sponsored by Showit. Are you stuck in a boring website template? Maybe you don't even know where to start. Experience the true creative freedom with the drag and drop simplicity of a Showit website. Our website, marriedandbored.com, is a Showit website, and we love how simple it is to create. Get started for free at showit.co. You won't be disappointed.
Man, every time we do one of these shows, I'm always like, we're going to talk about villains. We're going to take about 15 minutes. And then we are almost to 1 hour talking about Marvel Champions villains. So it's pretty fun. We definitely enjoy doing it. We just wanted to wrap everything up by just saying, like, hey, we've got villains. We've got the game. What can I do to make it more interesting? And something that we don't do, and I don't think we've ever done, is play on expert mode.
I've tried it with, there's different variations, right? So
sure,
you can
but
play
true expert, I don't think.
No, I don't think we've ever done true expert. So we've played like Rhino 2-3 instead of 1-2.
Yeah,
but we haven't added in
the modular
expert set. Yeah,
and that's what's great about this game is like you can just tune it to whatever you want.
Yeah,
you don't. It was a struggle when we first got it to like quote follow the rules and do it right. Mm-hmm. That's just a board game issue that we have, right?
Right, because I don't want to win and then discover that I wasn't doing a rule right.
Yeah.
Which Christian kind of rolls his eyes at, and I get that. Like, well, you didn't know you weren't. It's not like you were trying to.
So you weren't purposely forgetting a rule.
Right, but it just feels like less of a win
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, if you're like, man, Rhino's easy. Every time I play him, it's just 2 turns and he's dead. Well, you're allowed, guys. We'll say it now. You're allowed.
We're giving you permission
to just do Rhino 2-3. You don't have to add the expert set if you want to.
Absolutely.
You could if you want. We've never done. I'm scared. I hate losing this like games like this where they just beat you down. They beat me down.
Yeah.
Like if I lose consistently, like
it just hurts so bad.
Yeah. So like a great example of this is Gloomhaven.
Oh.
Everyone loves Gloomhaven. I don't at all. I need to give it another chance. But like we played it, and I don't remember if I've told this story, but we played it was either the first or second scenario, and we lost.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, so what do we do next? And then it's like, well, you have to do it again. And I was like, what? That's so dumb. I don't want to do this again.
You don't like that.
It just killed me.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, especially in that game where it's like, there's a lot of like mystery, like of what's behind door number 1. It loses that. And so, and then like, I know what's coming. And so it's like, well, I can prepare for it then.
Right.
So like, yeah.
Yeah, I get that you feel that way. You've always felt that way. And don't get me wrong, like, do I like losing 5 times in a row to the collector? No.
And that you see it as a challenge.
Yes, but even at that point, I go, okay, I need a break.
True.
My sanity needs a break. But I'll come back to it. You know, like the next 2 days, I'll come back to it. And I probably have like maybe a higher threshold for... At least with this game, not with all games, but for like getting beaten down multiple times in a row.
Yeah, you see this one as a puzzle.
Yes.
I see him as a playground.
Yeah.
So if I fall off the slide, like this playground
sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's good. You see it as a puzzle.
Yep.
I see it as a playground.
That's right.
Look at those wisdom.
Just dropping them.
Okay, so yes, you can add expert mode. You can add expert mode to campaigns, which is
crazy
and also very intimidating for me.
Yeah, and they've gotten better at that as a company. Like they've upped their game in expert modes for campaign.
Yes. One of the interesting things, I don't know if it's cool, because that cool usually means like fun, good. I don't know that I think it's fun or good, but it's interesting is that whatever you end that scenario on in terms of your health, you start the next scenario on that health. So you're like, boo, I barely squeaked by on 1 health, but I won. And it's like, nope, that 1 health is coming back to bite you.
That's all you get when you face Ronan.
Yeah. I mean, there are ways you can mitigate that in the Rise of Red Skull, where you can add obligations to your deck to reset your health. But yeah, it's intimidating for me to play the campaigns on expert right now.
Yeah, definitely.
It's out there though. It's
yep.
an option.
And one thing we do a lot with this game to make it more interesting for us too is just cherry pick the villains out of those campaigns. Not do them as a whole campaign. She's like, what do you want to do? We're going to play Red Skull just because he's interesting and he's kind of hard.
Yeah.
And so we fight Red Skull just as Red Skull, not as a 4-part series of Rise of Red Skull campaign.
Exactly. Yeah. You can pull these villains out.
Yeah.
There is a new scenario villain pack coming out, correct?
Yeah, there is. And if you're paying attention, maybe you watched Team Covenant do a stream on it. I didn't because of my spoilery thing that I don't like to be, spoiled on. But yeah, there's it's called The Hood. And he's a villain. He's like a crime bossy person, not like Kingpin. Like he's a crime boss.
Okay.
This guy's more like of a gang leader, maybe.
Okay.
That's my guess. And he's one thing that's interesting about his pack that I've read is he's bringing in a ton new encounter sets. I think
like modulars.
Yeah. So there's a lot of customizations that you can do to previous villains. So like maybe there's one that just is really difficult. Throw it in Rhino. So now Rhino has Heck, I don't know. Well, one of them is the Wrecking Crew. So the Wrecking Crew will have their own modular set. So throw the Wrecking Crew into Rhino, and now you're facing all of them at once.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
And I think the most interesting thing that they're doing is they're doing a new quote standard modular set. So they're calling it Standard 2.
Cool.
What I don't know and what I didn't look into, you can find it out on their website, is if it like increases the difficulty or if it's just a different version.
Sure.
So that switches it up. Like it kind of makes everything fresh. Everything old is new again. That's right.
Wow.
And that also ties, connects in my brain what I think is coming for the heroes.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of like, he's like an on the ground villain. He doesn't have superpowers. He can't fly. He's got no magic.
Right.
He's got guns and he steals things.
Right.
And he tells other people to do bad things.
Yeah.
And so I think of the heroes that would counter that, and that's where I'm like, oh well, Daredevil, Punisher, those type of heroes.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they're coming. Maybe.
We don't know. I can get behind Daredevil. He's one of my favorites.
If they end up coming, you can say you heard it first on the Married and Bored podcast.
Maybe. I hope so. And then we have one final tip, Ange. This is probably your favorite.
Yes. So there is a wonderful resource out there. I'm going to highlight one page that they have written, but you can go to Hall of Heroes. They discuss Marvel Champions. I think actually we talked about being listed on one of their...
we're famous.
Yeah, we're so famous. We're listed as a Marvel Champions podcast resource.
Yeah.
Okay. But I want to highlight their very quick Marvel Champions villain tips. This is a great place to go if you listened to us talk in this episode and you want to hear more about a villain we mentioned, or if you didn't... if you're like us and you're struggling through a villain, with us, it's the Collector. But if you're struggling, this can give you a quick rundown of what might be helpful, what cards might be helpful, and then also just like, okay, what's this villain trying to do, and what do I need to do? And I like that it's quick. Like you can read this whole article. And that goes through every single villain. There's villains we didn't talk about even tonight because there's
so many.
Yeah. We're just not going to go into every villain. We didn't talk about Zola. Like, we're not going to go through
Zola. He was a show. Is that?
Yeah, that's it. Okay. I think so. Yeah, everybody look it up. So you can read the whole article, or it gives a few quick paragraphs about one villain that you're facing, and I think they do a really good job. Please go to Hall of Heroes and the very quick Marvel Champions villain tips.
Yeah, and if you don't get anything from this show, that's what you should get from this show.
If you hear and remember nothing of what we said, go to that website.
Well, that's great. That kind of wraps up our chat on Marvel Champions villains. Let's wrap up the show as a whole, like we do all of our shows. Let's just talk about what's going on beyond board games, or maybe in board games beyond Marvel Champions. Whatever.
Okay.
What do you want to talk about, Ange?
There's something that came to mind, but I honestly can't remember if I've mentioned it before.
Well, what is it?
So I'm nervous that I'm going to get the big eye roll from people that are listening. Again. There we go.
Is it coffee? Because I know we've talked about
coffee. It's not coffee. I know I've talked about my hot buffalo pretzels.
Yeah.
No, this is a TV show that we've been watching called Love on the Spectrum.
No, we haven't talked about that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that has been bringing me so much joy. It's on Netflix. They just released the second season. During 2020, we found the first season and watched it. And it's just makes you feel better about humanity. It's a documentary style that follows, 5 to 8 people that are living on the spectrum, autism, in Australia.
Roy.
And I feel like it's really honoring of them and what they're going through. And it's equal parts hilarious because they are.
There's no filter.
There's no filter, no. and it's beautiful. It's not made in a way that you're laughing at them. You're laughing with them because they know their limitations so clearly. And then it's poignant because you watch their interactions not only on dates, they're trying to find love. And it's not a fantasy island type thing where they go to an island and like
no, they have relationship coaches, they have parents, they have friends, all within like their normal life. They don't whisk them away to Survivor Island.
Yes. I think that would probably create a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, that would not be a good show.
So this, it's beautiful. And if you know anyone that's on the spectrum, or if you don't have anyone in your life that's on the spectrum, it can kind of be a good learning tool to just, we're all in this together, humanity, and their brains might work differently than a neurotypical person, but they
want the same things.
Yeah. Deserving of love.
Yeah, it's funny, like that show and Ted Lasso are like shows if you want to feel good about yourself, not because you see terrible things, but like if you just want to feel good
about humanity.
Yeah, life.
Yeah.
Like you watch Love on the Spectrum and Ted Lasso.
Yes.
And you can't go wrong.
No.
You will smile the whole night.
Yes.
Yeah.
No one's head gets blown off. No one gets hurt.
TV is so full of drama these days.
Yeah.
Which is, it's good at the right time. But then like when you counter that with like just so much like pure happiness.
Yes.
On TV, it's kind of rare.
What about you, Christian?
Well, I've been watching those shows too.
Haha, I took it from you. Yeah. You can't say it. Oh no, he doesn't know. He has no idea. You got.
I'm making a really funny face at her, and she doesn't know what to do. No, I was gonna say like, oh, we have new floors in our office, but we talk about that all the time.
You mean just on the last podcast?
Yeah.
All the time?
Maybe just you and I talk about that all the time. I'll just say I got the Kickstarter that I've been waiting 18 months for. Ankh finally showed up.
Okay.
A few weeks, like a week ago. And we played it. You and I played it. Had game night literally last night. And I had so much fun playing that game. And there's just so many boxes and so many minis. I'm sure we'll talk about it on an episode coming up here. But that's just what's on my mind because I played it and I read the rules and I'm just having a good time.
Hey, Christian, so let me ask you, what's on your mind outside of board games?
Well, I was more like outside of Marvel Champions, but still board games.
I don't know if anyone caught that. It's like, okay, he's talking about board games on our outside of board games segment.
I thought I prefaced it a little bit, but
you did fine. He was unprepared for what to say.
I really was
because I took his thing that we've been watching together, which is Love on the Spectrum.
Yeah.
So there.
There you go.
You've installed a toilet. Is that bringing you joy?
I've learned a lot of things about house repair in the last time since we've talked.
Is that bringing you joy?
It doesn't bring me joy because I'm very nervous that if the toilet doesn't work, that's a big problem.
Right.
I also installed a new sink.
Yeah.
That's not as big of a problem if it doesn't work. Like, it's still water, but at least it's not like poopy water.
At least it's not poopy water. That's true.
So, you're just constantly learning in life.
Sometimes you have fresh water, and sometimes you have poopy water. All right, guys, we are so thankful that you listen in. And then be sure to interact with us. Christian, I'm going to throw it at you this time.
Whoa, this is going to really
this
throw
is
me
a
for a loop.
Switch up.
So, guys,
where can they find us?
We'd love to chat with you guys. You can find us on Instagram at Married and Bored. Please follow us on Twitter at Married Bored. I need those followers, guys. We're up to 28. Yay! What's up, Zach? So I'd like to try to grow our followers there.
Yep.
hello@marriedandboard.com or marriedandboard.com. There's a contact form that you can come and ask us a question, answer a question. Here's the question that you should answer. How do we beat Galaxy's Most Wanted? Angela, you're giving me the YMCA sign, so I forgot something about this wrap-up. What did I forget?
Oh, no, I just want to say, I would love if people could give us a review on iTunes.
Oh, we don't ask for that.
We did quite frequently, I feel like, at the beginning, like the first 10 episodes, and then it kind of just trailed off. And here's my vanity a little bit on that. Just recently, I discovered that someone gave us a 1 star.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like when? Like a year ago?
There's no written review attached to it.
Just 1 star?
It just says 1 star.
Nice.
And listen, I'm all for constructive criticism.
Probably Jerry.
We don't actually know Jerry.
Jerk.
So I'm all for constructive criticism. I'm not saying we're above criticism. We have so many things to learn about podcasting. I just laugh because I'm like, man, don't just give me a 1 and not tell me why. Come on. So
it's like on a Yelp review for a restaurant, and you just go on there and you give them 1 star, and you just say, "Food's bad."
Yeah.
It's like, okay, how?
Yeah. Oh man. Or it's the people that give the Amazon review and they're like, "This gets a 1 star for this product because my box came dented." Okay, well that's not the product, so that doesn't help at all. Yes. So I would say I want your honest opinion, of course. I'm not trying to force you into a high rating, but just go on there and give your honest opinion, and we would love to hear from you. How about if you have like lots of criticisms, maybe just like email us.
You can slide into our DMs.
Slide into our DMs. Yeah. No, I just saw that we only have like 15.
Hey, that's good. I'd say that's pretty good.
So, it's like Twitter. It's like, how many followers on Twitter?
I think I'm winning. I think it's like 20,
Oh, no.
28.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so we need to get at least 28
iTunes reviews?
iTunes reviews.
Cool. Challenge accepted. Thanks, everybody, again. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode on the villains of Marvel Champions. As always, contact us as we just mentioned. Stay tuned for a couple of weeks. We're going to come back and talk about a board game. It's one we're playing a lot. It's really fun.
That's a teaser.
Yeah, they're all really fun. It's board games. I don't know what I'm doing. I was going to say the name, and then I was like, well, what if we switch it?
What if we change our minds?
So we're not going to schedule that far ahead. Bye for now.
Bye for now, friends. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Married and Bored podcast. And guess what? We have a website where you can listen to podcast episodes and so much more. Find us at marriedandbored.com, or you can email us at hello@marriedandbored.com, or follow us on Instagram at marriedandbored. Music in this episode is by Joseph McDade. See you next time. That's the sound of freshness and new beginnings.
We're testing again, new mic setting. Hopefully it's better. Let's just go ahead and test this one more time. 1, 2, 3. Let's test again. 1, 2, 3. Too close to the mic. Hold up. If I talk back here like I did, is it too echoey? So do I have to be like right here in order for it to work well?